have all lost amazing women to this disease and share a determination to work towards an early detection test and far better targeted chemotherapy treatments.
Ultimate aim for us is to identify an early detection test, so we'll be able to detect the cancer at a stage where we're able to cure women, so they don't have to go through this horrible process of having been treated with toxic chemotherapy.
Issues are very prevalent in our family. Both my grandmas have it, my mum have it, I've experienced in my lifetime. So I think that it's such an important cause to give our attention to and to give our funds to, because I think it is, in some senses, it's not talked about as much as other things. And I think that is so important to raise awareness for that, and I'm so excited to be here. $500, $500,
Sold $11,500.
So we're going to be able to move forward to try and find some solutions to this problem. It's huge, and I think at the end of the day, unless we put money into research, we aren't going to be able to move forward.
Important to raise awareness, and it's really important what the foundation is doing. An early detection test would mean that people can catch it in stage 1A and have way better chances of survival.
Letitia was young. She was 34, healthy, radiant. Who could possibly have imagined the dreadful disease that could be lurking inside her body? Letitia Tish was the youngest of our blended family. When we got together, John had 2 sons and I had 2 young girls. They all lived with us, and it certainly had its challenges in the early days. Adjusting to our version of the Brady Bunch took a while. However, over the years, we had worked out how to be a family, and I just loved who we were now. Letitia, then 34, lived at Maitland on the York Peninsula with her husband Paul, a farmer, or Babe, as he was so often called. There they were raising their 2 precious boys, Ollie and Tommy, and she ran her homewares and interior decorating business, the White Shed, until the disease took it all away from her. Letitia said to me on so many occasions that she loved her life. As her mother, what more could you possibly want your daughter to have? Although she lived 2.5 hours away, we spoke every day at least once, and Letitia made sure we were included in every major or minor event of our grandsons' lives. Letitia saw the gynecologist, and following examinations and scans, the diagnosis was extensive endometriosis. Surgery was to be performed to clean up in 2 parts. The first, surgery on the pelvis area, and the second, an operation in the abdominal region. Following the first surgery, Letitia phoned me from the hospital. I will never forget that conversation, as long as I live. I was sitting at my desk at Abbott Pathology, of which I was the CEO at the time. Mum, we have some bad news. The cyst they took out from my ovary was not a cyst. It's an ovarian cancer carcinoma. The doctor says it is probably stage 1, and that I will need to have a hysterectomy and removal of my ovaries as soon as possible. It was an incredible shock. However, stage 1, I thought, since there is a good chance that she will be fine after surgery and treatment. Whilst I was scared for Letitia, what followed was unimaginable. During the surgery to remove her uterus, ovaries, fallopian tubes, and omentum, they found and removed numerous ovarian carcinomas embedded throughout Letitia's pelvis area and abdomen. Some around the bowel could not be removed, and the diagnosis was revised to stage 4C ovarian cancer. With my professional knowledge, I knew we would be fighting for her life against this most devastating disease. Now, I knew only too well that her chance of being here in 5 years was less than 30%. How could this be? As Letitia's mother, I wanted to get involved with finding the right treatment. We could beat this, surely. However, at the time, Letitia said to me she didn't want me to be involved in her treatment, that she just wanted me to just be my mum. And I respected her wish until first-line treatment failed, and then, as at her bequest, I got involved in the research for treatments to extend or save her life. I felt like my world was crashing around me. My first thought was disbelief. How could this be happening to my beautiful daughter? Losing someone I love so deeply has always been my greatest fear, and now I was facing just that. My beautiful daughter is not supposed to leave this world before me, and my precious grandsons, Letitia's great pride and joy, may have to grow up without her. The realisation of the hole this beautiful woman would leave was almost unbearable. I felt completely useless. Soon after Letitia's diagnosis, I made a promise to myself that I would do everything within my power to save her life and support her through this. However, if the time came she would have to leave, I would also do everything in my power to make it the best way possible. What followed Letitia's diagnosis of ovarian cancer was 4 years of gruelling treatment, endless rounds of chemotherapy, numerous surgeries and hospital admissions, and endless disappointments as treatments failed again and again. I knew that Letitia's greatest fear was leaving her precious boys to grow up without her love, guidance and protection. It was unfathomably sad as a mother to watch. In those 4 long and short years, Letitia set about making memories with her little family and trying to live the most normal life that she could around treatment. Surgeries and numerous hospital admissions. She held her family very tight and cherished every second with them. Then, about a year into her diagnosis, Letitia decided to become an advocate for educating other women about ovarian cancer. She had no knowledge of the signs and symptoms of the disease before her diagnosis. She had symptoms which were dismissed due to her young age, and her late diagnosis meant she never really stood a chance. She put all her energy, not required for fighting the disease, into raising awareness about ovarian cancer. She knew this could not change her path, however, she hoped an early detection test would be found so that women could be diagnosed early and they and their families would not have to go through what she and her family did. Letitia and her committee ran the first Adelaide Silver Style event cocktail party in 2016. The event was attended by over 300 people and raised $85,000 in the one night. It was an outstanding success. Then into October 2017, the second Adelaide Silver Style took place again. It was sold out and wonderful success. Letitia became an ambassador for the OCRF and OCA. She spoke at their events and ran fundraising events of her own. Letitia's large network of friends and family got behind her efforts, and she worked very hard to raise money for research and to educate women about ovarian cancer, and she raised more than $100,000 in 12 months. I was so proud of what she was doing. Over the months leading up to her death, she and I talked about the 2018 Adelaide Silver Style, where it would be, what date in October. However, we never got to plan it in any detail, as it soon became a case of weekly chemo interspersed with hospital admissions in Adelaide and Maitland. Slowly, her body was shutting down and she was slipping away, consumed by this unrelenting disease. By July 2018, Letitia could no longer live her normal life. She felt like a burden on Paul and the boys and wanted them to be free to get on with their lives. It broke my heart to hear her talk like this. However, right to the end, it was her boys that were the most important thing to her. She hadn't eaten for weeks, was heavily drugged for the ever-present pain. Sleep was her friend and temporary release from the disease. On the morning of Wednesday, the 1st of August 2018, Letitia passed away peacefully, and I held my beautiful daughter in my arms for the last time. I was heartbroken and relieved at the same time. The pain and suffering were over for her, and I was grateful that the end came more quickly than it may have. When Letitia passed away, I just could not let this be the end of what she had so bravely started under the most difficult of circumstances. The sadness and loss couldn't be all that would be left. Yes, it was so difficult without her and hard to imagine how I would live, and my heart was breaking watching the loss this was to Paul, Ollie and Tommy. I had to turn my grief into something positive. I couldn't let this incredible blow be what would define Letitia from here. I wanted to show my grandchildren that you don't have a choice about everything that happens to you. However, you have a choice about how you react. I knew Letitia would expect me to take up the fight where she had left off. So this is what I have done, and together we are making a difference. Thank you for your support, each and every one of you.